really happy to be here. So my name is Obia Ewah. I'm the founder and CEO of OBIA Naturals. I don't know if you're familiar with our brand, but we've been in operation for about 4 years now. All the products, they're vegan, they're pH balanced, they're all natural. I'm also a chemist. I formulate everything myself because I figure it works in my natural hair, work in our natural hair. So I'm from, to tell you a little bit more about myself, I was actually born in Nigeria. I know you can't tell by my accent. So I came here when I was about 5 years old. And of course I went to school, and the funny thing is that this was not, you know, my goal in life. This is not my dream in life. This is not what I thought I would be doing in life. I always wanted to be a doctor. I never had a plan B or plan C. Everything I did was for that. So I went to school and studied biology and chemistry so I could have a better MCAT score to get into medical school. Not because I wanted to be a chemist to formulate hair care products. And then I actually went and got my master's degree in public health because I wanted to do sickle cell research, because sickle cell was my, my passion, because no one truly cares about sickle cell, so if we don't focus on that, then who's going to take care of ourselves? So I got an MPH and I was doing sickle cell research. Then I went to med school so I could have my MD, MPH and do sickle cell research because that's what I wanted to do. This was never in my imagination. But the funny thing is sometimes your hobbies, what you have interest in, come out later. So I always had like salon Obia in my, college dorm room where I was rolling my hair and taking care of my hair and doing all that, but my hair was relaxed like my whole life, And so then during the master's program, people, all these studies were coming out showing the bad, the bad effects of relaxer. That's when about 2000, I think it was 2008 or 2007, when the study came out about, relaxer and fibroids and the correlation of how some people, the younger age you have a relaxer, the higher incidence of fibroids. And I was like, oh wow. And then, so I went to medical school in about 2008, and my second year of medical school, I got sick. And they're like, well, it's something in your environment because I have no family history of this. And I was like, so, there's something in my environment. Let me change my diet. Let me eat healthier. Let me stop relaxer. I'm like, if my hair comes out like looking terrible, the worst I'll do is just, I'll manage it, because if it's something in my environment, this might have something to do with it. So of course when I went natural, this is way before the whole natural hair renaissance and revolution where we're taking our industry back. So back then the products out there either had terrible ingredients or were not meant for my hair texture because I have really thick, bushy, African hair, and like the products just sit on top of my hair and do nothing. But the ones that were okay would have all these ingredients that I'm trying to avoid. So I was like, what's the point of all this? And then it goes a little bit further because I have really, really sensitive skin, and that wasn't being addressed in products either. Because a lot of people don't realize that if you have really sensitive skin, that beeswax that's really common in our products, honey that's really common in our products, any kind of animal products will cause you to itch. So I would put things on my hair, I'd be going like this all day long, and like, even without a weave on my hair or braids, I'd just be patting my head all day long, and I didn't realize that what it was, I was actually allergic to products that I was using. So I'm like, let me just, since I have all these issues, let me create something for myself that will work for myself, that doesn't have honey, that doesn't have beeswax, that has better ingredients. This is even before no sulfates and no parabens and the usual. I went a step above. So even the fragrances that I use, there's no phthalates in the fragrances because people don't know that phthalates cause cancer in rats. And so although it's not banned yet, oh, that's another thing, I'll take it a step back a little bit. So you always hear about recalls in cars, right? There's always a recall in food, right? Have you ever heard of a recall in hair care products? No. You might hear of an FDA warning, like maybe like, for example, back in the day, the Brazilian blowout had like a black box warning because of high levels of formaldehyde. It was making people sick, but guess what? They're still doing Brazilian blowouts, right? And the reason is because this is the one industry that's not regulated at all. I don't know if you guys know that. So that's why you have to be really, really careful what you use because it's not regulated. There's no government testing body that tests it to make sure that there's no E. coli, no listeria or anything like that. So there's never recalls in hair care products. And so that's why I was like, okay, let me be even more careful because it's not a regulated industry. So the percentages that people are using in there, they don't know if it's safe for use or not. And a lot of the issues that we have now are because of things in our environment, because things are not tested. Because you wonder why back in the day, I know I'm kind of going off topic.
That's okay.
But this is where the education comes in. Like
this is her.
Sorry, I don't know how to.
Biology coming in.
So everything I learned in my life, I'm actually using it for a different purpose now. So it hasn't been wasted. It's funny how God works, right? So, so to go back to my story. Every generation has their issues. Your parents might have diabetes and hypertension, but we're having like the younger generation of having fibroids and all these other issues, and people are like, so what is it? Because they used to think that fibroids equals sex, but there's 12-year-olds with fibroids, so what's going on? And so that's where it came to the whole products thing. So I was mixing up things in my little, kitchen or whatever, thinking it was just for myself. And then people were like, oh, we saw your hair last week and it was a bird's nest. This week it's really manageable. What'd you do differently? Or how'd you achieve a wash and go in your hair that's so thick? Or what'd you do differently? I'm like, oh, just something I put together, no big deal, because I was still a student at the time. And it was becoming to the point where people would ask me so many questions about my hair that I'm like, okay, I don't have time for this. Let me just braid my hair and throw in a wig. And I would wear a wig because I really didn't want to be bothered, because to me, I didn't think of it as anything other than just hair. I didn't realize the importance of hair to us and how having manageable hair and healthy hair is such a big part of our self-image and, everything else. So I wore a wig. I didn't want to be bothered. And then it's funny. So then I actually came home to visit my mom, I took a break from medical school to come home and visit my parents. And a lady
in the States? Were they in the States?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, in Dallas. Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta at the time. And so I came home on a break to visit my mom, and the lady in her church was like, okay, please help me. I'm natural. I can't find anything. We're both Nigerians here. There's nothing out there. And she said one thing that changed my life. She was like, okay, the next time you make something, I'll pay you for your time. And I was like, pay me for my time. I never thought about it like that.
Right, because you were just passionate about making it and
for
using
myself.
it.
And the thing is, everything was literally what I liked. I like this oil, so this is what I put in there. I like this, so the first 3 products I made were Curl Moisture Cream, Curl Hydration Spray, Curl Enhancing Custard for what I needed at that time when my hair was this long, right? So everything then since has developed because of what people around me need. I didn't even realize I had, a gift to put things together. So I'm not the greatest cook in the kitchen, but I know what to throw in the, I can cook in the lab, I don't know to put parsley in this to make the soup taste better.
Right.
But I can throw in some BTMS or whatever, throw in this and create an emulsion that's like, wow. So she said that, and I gave it to her, and then the next week someone was like, okay, well, whatever she did to her hair, I want to do that too. Can you give it to me? Can you give it to me? Can you give it to me? And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm here, on a holiday break or whatever. Maybe I'll, take one rotation off and see where this can go. And then I never went back.
So that's actually going into my next question.
That's how that started.
That's how did Obia Naturals start, and what made you create Obia Naturals? So basically a need that you had
that was
of your
addressed,
own.
and I didn't realize that other people had the same issues. And a lot of people, so I have some people, they're like, cancer patients, like had breast cancer, and they're recovering, and you have to be really careful of what you put in your body, especially after chemo, and so they could use my products versus other products for all the reasons that I'm talking about. So I didn't realize that it went beyond just people with health issues, but even younger kids, and just just in general. That's how it started from a need. And so I think sometimes it's funny how things work in life, but that it's something that you're meant to do when the path is just clear for you.
And it keeps leading you in that same direction.
Because a lot of people start things and then it doesn't work out.
Right.
Or they start things and hit all these roadblocks. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, it shouldn't be this easy, Because I was working really hard. I'll rewind, because this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. You think that medical school was hard? I thought I was suffering and dying, not sleeping, studying for all these exams. But I'm like suffering even worse. Being a businesswoman.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur. It's hard.
But you can't complain, because it's like almost like when you ask for a blessing, you get it.
True.
Are you gonna complain about it?
True.
Who wants to hear that you're suffering from success? Right. Oh my God, you can't sleep because you have too many.
But it is hard. It is hard being an entrepreneur, because you have your days where you're like, man, I don't want to do this no more.
I created a monster. I feel like sometimes you feel me to be honest, but the funny thing is I'm just blessed, because you see how, she's been one of our day one supporters. Let me just say that. Nikki, from day one, from when I barely had even labels, they were halfway peeling off.
I just love, every time I would go to the events, I would see her and her family, and I just love that. To have your family support you 100%, there's nothing like that. And I would always see them at events, and I'd be like, hey, brother, the father would be there, the mother would be there, the other brother would be there. So I love that.
And it's only because of them that I even did this, because that was the hardest decision in my life, was literally to let go and let God, because I never had a plan B. And so I'm like, well, you need to tell me that I have about 54 weeks to graduate medical school, and I'm gonna pause my dream to pursue something that I never envisioned doing in my life. The hardest decision was to pause medical school, but in the end, that was the best decision I made, because I'm still doing everything that I wanted to do, just in a different way. I can still use my education. I wrote all the labels. That's my public health degree, because we used to just write, writing grants and things like that. So it was my family that actually convinced me to say, you know what? Things like this don't always happen. This might not be an accident. What you went through was for a purpose. This might be the purpose of why you went through that, because if you didn't go through your illness, you would have never went natural, and you would have never even thought to create something for yourself, and this wouldn't have happened. So maybe that's God's way of showing you that this is what you need to do in your life. Just pursue it. If it doesn't work out for 6 months or whatever, you can always go back. It's just a break, you know? And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll think about that. And then within 1 year, we got into Essence magazine. We had about 20 retailers in 1 year. All these things just started happening. And I'm like, how do people even know about me? It's literally word of mouth.
Word of mouth is still the best way to get your business out there.
Exactly. Someone like Nikki would take a chance. But then the thing is, not only they have to take a chance, but they have to like it. And so she would like what was in it, and then she would spread the word, then tell someone who would tell someone who would tell someone who would tell someone. So with literally a zero budget, we went from 0 to where we are now. And I know you have some other questions, so I'll pause.
Obia Naturals.